Summer Night of Desire. Bedtime secrets, soft, sensual storytelling. It was a quiet summer night. Samuel sat near the window of her cottage, the soft silk of her robe gently brushing her skin. The warm air carried the scent of blooming flowers and distant whispers of nature. She wasn't sure why, but sleep didn't come easily that night. A gentle knock broke the silence. It was Ader, her quiet neighbor. His ears, always calm and deep, seemed to speak the words he never said aloud. "Can't sleep either?" he asked, stepping inside with a hesitant smile. Samuel didn't answer. She simply looked at him, and in that look, he found his answer. They stood there in silence, the air between them warm, electric. His hand found hers, slowly, respectfully. The world outside faded. The room, the moment, the shared breath, it was all that existed. No words were needed. Later, as dawn approached, Samuel stood by the window once more. The first rays of sunlight touched her face. She closed her eyes and smiled, knowing that some summer nights stay with us forever. Continuation of Summer Night of Desire. The morning light poured gently into the room, touching everything with golden softness. Samuel wrapped her robe around herself and moved quietly through the kitchen, the silence still thick with last night's memory. She poured 2 cups of tea. She didn't know if he was still there, but something told her he hadn't left. Sure enough, Ader stepped in, barefoot, his eyes meeting hers with a quiet warmth. He didn't speak. Neither did she. Words felt unnecessary. They sat together by the window, sharing tea, sharing glances. "Did you sleep at all?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He smiled, that slow, thoughtful smile of his. "With you near. Who needs sleep?" The silence returned, but this time, it was full, not empty. The kind of silence that holds meaning, closeness, and something neither of them dared name just yet. Samuel leaned her head on his shoulder. Outside, the world was already moving, but in that little cottage, time seemed to stretch, slow, and soften. There was no promise of tomorrow. Just this morning. Just this moment. And sometimes, that's all you need. Continuation of Summer Night of Desire. The day passed slowly. Samuel tried to focus on her book, on the garden, on anything else, but her thoughts kept drifting back. Back to his voice, his closeness, the warmth of his presence that still lingered in the air. As the sun dipped below the trees and shadows stretched across the wooden floor, she found herself standing once again by the window. The evening breeze brought with it the faint scent of jasmine. She heard the familiar footsteps before he knocked. Ader stood at the door, holding a single wildflower in his hand. He looked unsure, hopeful, but quiet. "I didn't want the night to end," he said softly. Samuel took the flower, smiled, and stepped aside to let him in. Inside, the lamp cast a soft golden glow over the room. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Every look, every movement, was its own kind of language. He reached for her hand, slowly, gently, and she met him halfway. Later, they sat close, listening to the quiet night outside. The world was silent, as if holding its breath just for them. In that stillness, they found each other again, not in words, not in promises, but in presence. Not everything needs to be spoken. Some feelings are better left floating between 2 hearts. On a second summer night. Continuation of Summer Night of Desire. Morning arrived quietly. The soft rustle of leaves outside, the golden light slipping through the curtains, and the stillness of 2 people who had shared something unspoken yet deeply understood. Samuel woke first. She didn't move. Ader was beside her, peaceful, eyes still closed, one hand resting between them. He wasn't holding her, but she felt surrounded. Safe. She watched the sunlight trace the lines of his face, gentle and slow, as if even the day didn't want to disturb him. Her heart was calm, yet full. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it was more than desire. It was a pause in time. A breath that neither of them had taken for far too long. She stood up quietly, made tea, and placed a cup on the windowsill, his favorite spot. A few minutes later, he joined her, his hair still messy from sleep, his voice low and warm. "You make mornings dangerous," he said with a smile. She raised an eyebrow. "Why?" He looked at her, long and slow. "Because I'll want more of them." The words hung in the air, unguarded, simple, honest. Samuel didn't reply. Instead, she leaned her head against his shoulder once again, like she had the morning before. Some stories don't need endings. They just need another morning. That afternoon, the sky turned gray. Dark clouds rolled in slowly, brushing the treetops, as if nature itself was holding its breath. Samuel sat by the window, a book in her lap, but she wasn't reading. Outside, the first raindrops tapped gently on the glass. Soft. Rhythmic. Soothing. She thought of Adar. Not in the way she did before. Now there was something different. Not just a man she found comfort in, but someone whose silence spoke the same language as hers. There was a knock at the door. She knew it was him before opening it. His hair was damp from the walk, shirt slightly wet, and eyes calm, as always. "Rain suits you," she said with a quiet smile. "I was hoping it suits tea too," he replied, raising a small bag of jasmine leaves. They moved through the familiar motions. The kettle. The cups. The warm steam. But something had changed. As they sat across from one another, the silence wasn't enough anymore. Edgar looked up. "I don't want this to be just summer." The room felt still. The only sound was the rain falling faster now. Samuel reached for his hand, this time not gently, not hesitantly. "Neither do I." They didn't need anything else in that moment. No declarations. No explanations. Only the sound of rain. And two hearts. Choosing to stay.